unlike WWE, it's actually positive. Well, we're gonna start with the 27th, May 27th episode of AEW Dynamite that had major surprises. Of course, the return of Mike Tyson after sort of outside assistance from the interference of Jake the Snake Roberts in the first ever match for the TNT Championship, ending up with Cody becoming the victor. We of course have in a six-man tag involving the Private Party and Joey Janela against the Young Bucks and Matt Hardy. This time he was still version 1 because he returned that he sort of like returned a tiny bit of that gimmick when he was drowning in the pool for 300 seconds in the equivalent of a pretty fun, entertaining match. A bit of a Slipknot of I don't know why I reference a band for dodgy moves and the mix of pretty tolerant match, especially for the Young Bucks that haven't been in action together since I think February or January, since they've been in consistent action on Dynamite thanks to the whole, you know, health craze going around here. Obviously, do I think this episode of Dynamite was fun? In particular ways, yes. That had some surprises. Yes, was the promos good? Pretty alright. Some segments shocked the hell out of me. I did not expect the revolt to actually come to Dynamite so briefly after the pay-per-view in a pretty entertaining match. We had a couple top gun hellos. Of course, one of the Private Party suffered a leg injury that kept him out for the remainder of the match. That involved the later, after the end, Matt Hardy assisting him out. A double drop kick. Joey Janela was tossed out from a tope into a super kick that the Blade that was in the crowd ate, and then the Butcher and Blades started attacking one half of the Young Bucks. Matt Hardy with side effect after side effect countered from a piece of nothing into a side effect. It ended off elbow drop, rolling fireman's carry into a senton. It could have been cool if they just just did the old Hardy's finisher that was a twist of fate into a senton, but it just had everybody pinning Joey Janela for the finish. That was it. Fair enough. Butcher and Blade later on came and assaulted the Young Bucks after they were blindsided. And Matt Hardy was taken out of the equation to help out with one half of the Private Party. Then the Revolt came out of nowhere in an old school ass car, coming to assist with the Young Bucks after it looked like they were going to turn the tides. Because, of course, if you don't watch Being the Elite, the meme is obviously, and I quote, fuck the revival. I'm sorry, the Revolt, so they can still use that initial. Uh, just use them three acronyms. That is obviously a constant meme in all Elite wrestling, and just the Elite per se. It was really cool. They still use the Shadow Machine. They still use that finisher. Uh, Nothing about most of them change. I'm still gonna use their old WWE names because that's how I'm gonna remember them. Not Dash Wilder and something something. They just look like they beat up somebody before they came here. They look cool. I always thought the Revival looked cool. I just felt like they had a lack of personality. I guess that was their gimmick, that they were just the new breed brainbusters. And I think this is what old school wrestling fans kind of appreciated about the Revival or slash the Revolt. And it was kind of weird that Scott Dawson keeps looking like Michael Elgin every time I see him. And yeah, it was pretty cool. I didn't know what was with the look of the Butcher and Blade, except I guess they were supposed to look white because irony, they are some murderish figure. It's a weird gimmick for their tag team. The Blade had a beanie and overalls without a shirt on. I thought he looked like a pedo from the East Coast. And it looked weird enough that these guys look like they are in a sex dungeon with while they own slaves. It just looked super weird. It was a weird look. I understand these guys are in street clothes and they're probably not in action. They won't be in a lot of action until this thing blows over, where they can, get a lot more creativity out of the way. But this match was fine. Death Valley Driver, a couple drop kicks. I felt it was a smooth quickness from both the Private Party and the Young Bucks. Are a quick, fast-paced team, and they like always using quick tags so they can do high-flying top rope. and they kind of slowed down the ground game having Joey Jelena and Matt Hardy. So I guess it's an easy balance. Fun match. Cool to see the revolt. Next up, Jon Moxley in appearance to see Lee Johnson. I'm joking. He was here to see the new signee from Impact Wrestling to AEW that earned a shot after the Casino Ladder match, Brian Cage, for a future championship opportunity at Fyter Fest to face off against Jon Moxley. And Jon Moxley would be here to see him in action. He had some, you know, playing it safe words to say about how excited he is about seeing the match, seeing Brian Cage and his future title defenses. And he showed some respect to Brody Lee that gave him his toughest match to date. So, yeah, I guess toughest title defense, because I think he's still going to reference his street fight he had with Kenny Omega that obviously from Full Gear everybody loves from last year, back in November. Of course, we had Lariat, Powerbomb. Brian Cage looks obviously great. Kept treating Lee Johnson like a complete jobber. You should have seen him against when he faced off against MJF. European uppercuts, a German suplex, or not even a German suplex. He just chucked him. And it ended off with the drill claw or just some kind of Michinoku drive. It just ends in a fireman's carry into a pilo driver. It's a dangerous ass move, but to me, I just felt like it looked corny, like something you could have done on 2K20. Or after you're done with the move on 2K20, you uninstall it. Or if you have the disc version, you uninstall it and break it. Taz come around expressing his respect on his title defense, then saying the machine is the next big thing comes Fyter Fest, and and he references his Survive moniker that he used to say on ECW. It was a cool pay per view, but it's like you don't use your own catchphrase to hype up. Oh wait, Paul Heyman does this shit. It's cool to see Taz have more of an important role than just being the pseudo fourth man on commentary. I think that a managerial role fits well for him, but I thought it would be somebody more his style. At least more of a hardcore guy, at least somebody of more set technician. But thanks Brian Cage is not the best talker, I guess this works for him. This was cool. And how Moxley feels about this, he's not like, yeah, you want to fight, let's fight tonight. It's a basic interaction. We have weeks of build up, and I respect AEW's chances on building up. Of course, we have building up to a big pay per view match. I love it. Next, Britt Baker updates on her injury after a knee injury in a tag team match involving Chris Statlander and Hikaru Shida. This was like a week before Double or Nothing. With Nyla Rose and her tagging together. And she was supposed to face off against Chris Statlander in the pay-per-view until that was changed into putting an LP forward. So, yeah, Britt Baker putting the blame and shading everybody in the tag team match, everybody connected. Tony Schiavone just hitting Tony Schiavone with the stick. She's a basic, prima donna heel, obviously with a bitch face. So it's obvious that you have to dislike her. Uh, yeah, that's practically all that I like about Britt Baker. Anything else with the glove and shit, and how many times they try to make her feel like a devastating bitch, kind of gets derailed by injuries per se. And she says she'll come back at All Out to, I guess, get a match with Hikaru Shida, or get a match with Chris Statlander, or anything else to at least settle the score. So she'll be returning September, even though we have Fyter Fest in the summer, and I don't know how they're gonna deal with that. Probably when everything blows over. And I hope it does, with blaming, Aubrey Edwards for, her injury after running senton goes wrong and she gets hit and F's up her knee, and continues, and couldn't even continue the match. Nyla still won the match, though. Next up, Hikaru Shida. Face off against Christy James. I think this was a lower point of the match, though, because it was like, okay, you're building up this new champion, and this is her second Japanese wrestler to win this championship after beating the crap out of Nyla Rose. I'm not gonna say that Christy James, like, she's a dancing Brazilian wrestler. Obviously, a silly gimmick like that should last at least 2 minutes or at least under a minute in the match. She lasted at least 10 minutes with Hikaru Shida. I understand this is Hikaru Shida's first match after having a no DQ match with Nyla Rose, so I get that she won't be the same as she was. She's not going to be 100% obviously. But dude, are you serious? Comes around close near fall. Hikaru's first finisher, she kicked out. Like, I think it was a shining, it was like a bicycle knee to the back of the head. She kicked out of two. It took another one to take her out, and Hikaru Shida with a Falcon Arrow to finally pick up the victory. It was a okay match, but for her standards, being a women's champion, I expect more to build up championships, other than work rate per se. I just felt that was like a bit much. I don't even I don't even expect this. It's like if Lee Johnson gets like a 15-minute match with Chris Jericho. No one's expecting this to be big. It would be cool though if they were building up Lee Johnson, but the most they ever built up was like Jungle Boy, like lasting the time limit and surviving Chris Jericho. See, actually showing that he can actually handle the world champion, and I thought that was cool. So we also had a backstage segment with, of course, the Inner Circle pep rally. Haha! After the Stadium Stampede match that I thought was probably the most entertaining match I've ever seen in a long time. So yeah, to that. Then we had Orange Cassidy come over, interfering, and of course, Inner Circle's Chris Jericho promoing why, trying to build up momentum. Try to build up that they're ready for, the next big thing and trying to reclaim the AEW title. Next up, we have, of course, Cody issuing an open challenge with congratulations off the interview with Tony Schiavone. Like I haven't seen a mid-card championship in a weekly programming being an open challenge. It's not like Seth Rollins and John Cena ever done it before. Wow, Cody's bringing up new grounds here on AEW. Something that has never been done before. An open challenge for a mid-card title. I guess this will be different because it's a different roster, I guess, but hopefully it's at least more storytelling based on just work rate per se. I don't really care. I understand there are probably we're gonna wait until probably a month, like 2 months until Fighter Fest or something to at least build up more legitimacy for this championship. And I get it. He wants to build up that this title is gonna be as equal to the world title. So building this up fast with open challenges makes sense. I get it. I just felt like it was too hashed out. I think it's too predictable. And they just get a new challenger just by a battle royale. Okay. I thought this was tolerable. Cody's always a dedicated promo when he's babyface. I think he's more dedicated a promo when he's a heel. But when he does babyface, he actually makes you believe what he says. We, of course, had another promo involving MJF, issuing since he came back, he's still undefeated, and over this battle royal, Wardlow would know what to have to do, and after Wardlow would be like, but not another word! That was literally my favorite part, because it actually shows how controlling MJF could be, and just shows the dynamic with him and Wardlow. That was pretty cool. That was pretty cool, even though this team kind of lasted near a year, and I thought that would be a bit more until MJF won a championship. But this is cool. That was cool. Next up would be a tag team match involving SCU versus Sabian and Jimmy Havoc. I didn't even know this was a decoratable tag team per se. I know that they both beaten the shit out of Orange Cassidy. I mean, everybody beat the shit out of Orange Cassidy. But other than that, it's okay. It's Kip Sabian versus and Jimmy Havoc versus SCU. Oh, okay. I don't know why I wanted to see this. It ended up a drop kick and a Michinoku driver. And I guess this was cool, even though they issued a shot for the tag team titles, even though it's gonna be next week. Uh, Trent and Chuck Taylor against Kenny Omega and Hangman Page. I don't know why that was issualized. Probably the week after they get a title shot. Kazarian is a basic isolation tactics from obviously the more veteran team in the division. Missile dropkick. I think a hookup for a brainbuster. I didn't see much of this match, to be honest. There was a hot tag, pretty fast pace for Scorpio Sky. In oh god, I just didn't care about this match. There was a cool tornado DDT from Kazarian. I think there was a monkey flip Penelope Ford did a pretty good time distraction until Sabian and Havoc scored, pinning Sky with some kind of Michinoku driver combination with a drop kick. I think it was a rip off of Taylor and Beretta's move, whatever the hell kind of crappy call they're gonna call it. SCU have been in, I think, quite a losing streak so far. The win-loss record is already irrelevant at this time. I don't really care. But in AEW's aspect, they sort of make it care so it can feel more unique from alternative companies. Not the most highlighted part of the show next to the Battle Royale for a future shot in the first contender for the TNT Championship held by Cody. Of course, MJF Wardlow's in it. Colt Cabana, Brandon Cutler, Peter Avalon. You already know who is not making it. Sonny Kiss is not going to be in it. Luther's not going to be in it, even though he no-sold one move into a cool STO into a backbreaker. That was cool. Billy Gunn was now in this. Not Austin Gunn, though. MJF was, staying centered in the corner with Wardlow until there was nearly anybody out. Christopher Daniels. I think Sonny Kiss twerked and got a bit of a flip move from the corner. And some guy with a flyer in the middle of the match. Well, some people were outside, but they weren't eliminated. Some guy with a beard or something was trying to recruit Colt Cabana to be part of the Dark Order, and I found that one of the funniest parts of the show, in my opinion. And it's like, dude, you're not eliminated right now. You still want to join the Dark Order? And like my funnest part of the show was literally just no, there was a drop kick. Billy Gunn was eliminated. No one cares. We had Luchasaurus and Wardlow face off. And it's like, oh wow, Luchasaurus got babied by Brian Cage, and now here he is hitting bicycle kicks. These guys like big hossing each other until there was like a double drop kick on, I think Wardlow and MJF eliminated Luchasaurus. Then it was a clothesline and a drop kick. MJF and Wardlow were eliminated, and then Jungle Boy and Orange Cassidy was left. And like the final three, like Orange Cassidy, I think I didn't remember that he was eliminated. He's that low key. And it was pockets in, drop kick, to the, fast pace until a running Hurricane Rana, and Orange Cassidy was still inside. The Hurricane Rana tossed him outside from over the top rope. The match was over. Jungle Boy gets a shot for the TNT Championship against Cody next week on Dynamite. This is an entertaining, sparingly simple, and safe battle royale. I thought there should be weapons involved, especially for a mid-card title just being introduced. How much they really wanted it. We're not expecting anything picture perfect. It did its job. I think there were many guys like, why in the hell jobbers are in this? Like Peter Avalon, Steve Cutler. I didn't even know Billy Gunn was still considered a roster member, and Sonny Kiss hasn't been seen on TV. Like, the guy's dark. And Luther, wasn't he part of that faction with Men and Brandy Rhodes? What happened to that? The only important parts of the battle royale was literally just Colt Cabana, uh, Marco Stunt, Luchasaurus, Orange Cassidy, Wardlow, MJF, and Jungle Boy. That's literally it. No one would care if Christopher Daniels. They would try to like, oh my god, remember the Ring of Honor match? That's literally the equivalent of why they would care about a Christopher Daniels and Cody match, because that would be the inevitable. At least it's a target for the middle. At least care about that. Next up would of course be the appearance of Iron Mike Tyson, but that would happen in the AEW pep rally. We had some, a little bit of the 40, a little bit of bubbly that was empty. Sammy Guevara given a scooter instead of still a crutch. Best Jack joke trophies given from Sammy Guevara. The funniest part was literally Jake Hager's promo on literally after doing some simple threats for Elite. He went like he didn't even rhyme. He was just, I will literally wear your entrails. I will literally rip you apart. I don't care. I'll make you bleed. Okay, that was really my funnest part of Jake Hager. And everything going until the bubbly would drain out, and then it was taken out by the Mike Tyson posse. And this all sparked from Jericho saying that he wanted Mike Tyson's head on a platter after something in 2010, probably an episode of Raw. He would reference it was on a Monday on May 10th. No, I think it was somewhere in the winter from 2010. Whatever. I don't care. I don't really care. All I know is cool to see Mike Tyson struggle to get a sentence out the time when he was asking why is he here. Then he's saying he's cheating. You shouldn't have won the championship or something like that. I guess that had something to do with February when Jericho became World Heavyweight Champion. Then Mike Tyson, still looking scary, ripped off his shirt, and I was about to go to blows. The Inner Circle and Mike Tyson were about to go at it until wrestlers and security were all coming out to stop Jericho, the Inner Circle, like literally just Jericho and Mike Tyson fighting. And then we literally fade to black to probably just sell Jericho against Mike Tyson for the pay-per-view. And that is Dynamite. That's literally Dynamite. That's Dynamite, folks. Uh, did I think the show was fine? Yeah. Better than Raw in some aspects? Absolutely. More surprises. Most of the matches were at least somewhat important. The promos had, contrast and actually had, logic into it. We're supposed to hype up these wrestlers. At least the mid-card titles actually has a reason to be elevated other than to do a random open challenge like Seth Rollins did it. I at least care about that. I didn't even know they were still going to do a pay-per-view over the summer because, like over the time of Double or Nothing, like latter half of the show they were hyping up, of course, All Out. Because probably they're going to be back to regular crowds at that time come September. So, yeah, that's at least something. Good to see the revolt. Brian Cage in action was pretty cool, and Taz's promo was awesome. I felt my negatives came off the Hikaru Shida match. They're not doing much to build up much of it over Nyla Rose. The dumb accusations to what looks to be an ongoing feud involving her and the referee just went to complete shit after just saying that you're going to come back come the September pay-per-view. And to no avail, seeing that no fans were literally at the attendance, just guys at the roster. So that was just weak off Britt Baker's part. Hope she gets better though. And and no one cared about Jimmy Havoc and Kip Sabian tagging. How we didn't get a dynamic, or at least some sort of, ambitions flaring up during the battle royale was a bit much. I thought there'd be a bit more storytelling than just comedic spots everywhere. And I think that's literally some of the weak points of Dynamite at times, that they try to play too comedic to sell in with the seriousness at most times so they can make it a bit lighthearted. Or at least try to make it too comedic, even though they were trying to sell the dynamic that Wardlow probably wanted a shot for the TNT Championship. And MJF is trying to protect that, so, Wardlow can do his job. So I thought more of the dynamic can play there, but just Wardlow's doing their job, and then two midgets come eliminating both of these guys. That's a bit underwhelming. And the Mike Tyson and Jericho segment was just a blast. I don't know why they're doing a pep rally, though, if they lost a big match like the Stadium Stampede match. That's just my opinion. I give Dynamite a 6 out of 10. Your opinions down below matter the most. If you thought Dynamite was good or bad, please comment it down below. I would love to hear your opinions on how you felt about this recent episode of AEW Dynamite Live. This is it, coming from the DST show. Like, comment, subscribe if you want to hear more. Help my channel grow so we can reach 30. I said 30,